Bees and Their Impact on the World by Nicole Galbraith. All bees live in colonies. They're kind of like a little family, and they have the queen bees, the worker bees, and the drones all within their hive. Here's a picture of the queen bee, and she's the head of the household, and she is the only one who lays the eggs and reproduces. This is a worker bee, and the worker bees are also female, and they are responsible for the upkeep of the hive. So they clean the hive and they collect pollen and nectar for food, and then they care for the offspring that the queen produces. This is a drone, and the drones are all males, and they are responsible for reproducing with the queen. Here is a comparison of all the members of the hive sizes, and as you can see, the queen is a little bit larger than all the other ones, and then the workers are smaller, and the drones are somewhat medium in their size. There are over 100 crop species in the world, and we consume about 90% of those species, and then the bees pollinate 70% of the 90%. So that is a large amount that the bees pollinate for us. So now that we know a little bit about the bees and their background, let's discuss some on the pollination process. Bees use their sense of smell to find nectar that is in flowers or in plants. So when they're collecting their food from the flower, some pollen from the stamens will stick to the bee, and then it will go to another plant of the same type, and then the pollen from that bee sticks to a pistil of the flower or plant, and it helps with cross-pollination. And also, to help with cross-pollination, while they're flying to another location, some of that pollen may fall to the ground or go to another plant, so that will also help with the pollination process. And this can also be described as symbiosis, is the relationship between the plant and the insect. Since 2006, populations of bees have declined, and this is because of the use of pesticides, and there's diseases and parasites, and even global warming. There are 20,000 bee species in the world, and 7 native Hawaiian bee species have been added to the U.S. endangered list, and 4 of them are pictured, and the 4 that are pictured are Hylaeus anthracnus, Hylaeus longiceps, Hylaeus asimulans, Hylaeus facilis. I feel like I'm butchering their names. But then the other 3 are Hylaeus hilaris, Hylaeus kuakia, and Hylaeus manna. Unfortunately, the rusty-patched bumblebee is the next to possibly go on the endangered species list. So now you're wondering, how will this affect you and how will the rest of the earth be impacted by this phenomenon? So, as we discussed before, bees pollinate 70% of the crops that we consume. So, without the bees, we would have less plants and food to eat. So, some of those include apples, carrots, broccoli, garlic, onions, watermelon, mustard, blackberries, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cantaloupe, cauliflower, celery, dill, eggplant, fennel, kale, macadamia, mango, nutmeg, passion fruit, peach, pear, plum, pumpkin, raspberry, squash, sunflowers, and even tea. And here in the South, we love our sweet tea, so we would definitely be impacted. So without the bees, it would be hard for cows, for example, to eat because they depend on alfalfa as part of their food. So if they wouldn't be able to eat, then meat and milk production would decrease, which means we wouldn't be able to eat either. Transportation would also be affected because canola depends on pollination, and it is also used to produce biofuel. And if we run out of biofuel, we will have to solely rely on fossil fuels, and then that would worsen our environment more than what it already is. Cotton would be hard to produce without the bees, which means it would be hard for us to make more clothing. And without the bees pollinating our flowers and our plants and such, we wouldn't have those beautiful things covering our land. So land would look a lot like this picture here on the screen, and it would be a less beautiful world to live in. And overall, human life would be impacted. There would be a worldwide famine because there would be less food, so people would be fighting over the resources, and then fresh water would start to dry up. But there are ways that you and I can help save the bees. Plant bee-friendly flowers and herbs in your garden, and this is because bees love volume of forage. And so some things you can try to plant are things like lilacs and lavender, and you can plant mint and squash and tomatoes, pumpkins, fuchsia, and sunflower. And then try to leave some of those weeds because they can be a good thing. So you can leave like your clover and your dandelion, which to me those are actually kind of pretty, so it would help make your yard look better. But just remember, as discussed before, pesticides are one of the reasons that our bee populations are declining. So try not to use that when you're treating your garden. Buy local raw honey and buy local organic food. When you buy local raw honey, it helps to let the beekeepers know how to keep their bees. Bees get thirsty too, so place a water basin in your yard, and even if you had a bird bath, that would also help. And understand that bees are not out to get you. They are vegetarians. So if you come in contact with a bee, just stand still and stay calm because they can sense your fear and they can smell it too, and they don't want to hurt you, so don't let them. Also, you can share solutions with your community, like going to local meetings and having conferences, and you can even share some things online and let Congress know that change needs to happen. As Einstein once said, if the bee disappears from the surface of the earth, man would have no more than 4 years to live. So do your part and help save the bees.